Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel, Coding with Colton, and today we're going to talk about the quality assurance section of FreeCodeCamp. So back when I was doing this section, it used to be two sections that were combined. It was quality assurance and information security. So I'm going to be talking about just all the stuff I did because I pretty much did this whole section, but only 3 out of the 5 projects are the same when you get down to the projects, but they're all pretty similar. So I definitely feel like got some good nuggets to share with you guys. When it comes to quality assurance, like what is quality assurance? Like what does that mean? Like this section is all about like basically you building out some backend code. You'll build some server code, and then you'll build some tests to make sure that that backend code is working properly. So when it comes to the testing section, they'll have you use what's called a chai. It's basically just a library that lets you do like assertion testing and be like, hey, is this equal to this? And then you can kind of evaluate like, yeah, when I put my values in to my code, like it's always returning the same thing every time. So that's what the assertion testing is all about. I felt like this section actually was good for learning how to do assertion testing. Like just doing this and then jumping into the docs of chai and stuff like was like honestly good enough to be able to like I think understand it for the most part. So I felt like that was really good. And then they have this other section called Advanced Node and Express. This is just like like a little bit of a learning section, and this honestly has like nothing to do with the QA projects. They talk about some good things like template engines and authorization, authentication, um, sockets. Basically, just means you can like push updates and stuff like that. That's probably sounds like a bunch of gibberish. And so when I went through and did this section, honestly, none of this stuff made any sense to me. Like I didn't understand the relevance of it or anything like that. And it really has nothing to do with the QA section. This is stuff that you'll need to know to actually build your own apps and do your own personal projects. Like these are really good things to know. Not necessarily that you have to use a template engine. So some of this stuff you won't necessarily need to use, but you're gonna want to know it. But the way that FreeCodeCamp explains it, like you're just missing so much information. Like there's so much missing that it's just like just know that these are things that you're gonna need to learn about, but FreeCodeCamp is not gonna be the way that you're gonna learn it. So at least that wasn't the way for me. So just keep that in mind. When it comes to the projects themselves, the projects that the older projects that are still on here are these first 3 here, and then these 2 are new. Haven't done these, but they're all similar to the first 3. Let's pull this metric one up. So this just lets you basically you just type in a unit and it'll return um, the imperial to the metric. So like for example, like here it gives you an example. So if you put in like 3.1 miles, it's going to return like this for kilometers, and it basically will turn, um, you know, we'll just return this. So it's pretty. These projects are pretty like they're pretty plain Jane. But you will get the gist of like building out a backend as well as testing the backend, which is useful. But as far as like, some of these other projects, like they kind of like all look the same here. It's like an issue tracker, personal library. You can record a list of books, right? Comments and some stuff. But when it comes to like showing these projects to employers, like they're gonna probably look at this and like you have to be your own judge, but they're probably gonna look at this and be like, well, that's kind of okay, I guess, but it's like not flashy. And like if you compare like a project like this to a project, for example, like here's one of my personal projects that lets you look up like a list of hikes, and it brings up like hiking information and locations. Like I just feel like that's going to be so much more like appealing to talk about if you're trying to get a job than just showing a project like this. Like just like they're worlds apart. So whether or not you complete this section, like at the end of the day, I think that the information is valuable because you get to understand a little bit about how QA works and testing your code. But when it comes to like building your own projects, like it's still going to take you a long time to get through all of these these projects. They say it takes about 300 hours. It could take you more or less than that, depending on what you already know. But when it comes to like being employable and stuff like that, if that's your goal, hope it probably is like 99% of people, like that's what they want to achieve. It's like it really comes down to building your own personal projects, and these projects will help you along the way and they'll teach you some things, but you don't just get to skip that other part of building your own personal projects. And usually the personal projects, it's a lot more time and a lot more effort than just what FreeCodeCamp has. So there are good things that FreeCodeCamp does, but just as far as like my experience and kind of just like what reality has been for me in my coding journey, there's just more involved, and so you just have to keep that in mind. That's just my 2 cents. You be the judge. But that's it. That is the quality assurance section. That's basically the gist of what it is. So hopefully you have taken away some nuggets and you have learned some important things. Thanks for watching my channel, Coding with Colton, and good luck out there.